Hi, everybody. I wanted to show you another really fun technique. Now, this is a technique that I hope you won't overuse. I hesitate to even show it to you early on just because I think it can be overused. But it's a fun technique to work with, and it's called masking. And there's a couple of different ways you can achieve this. Basically, what we're doing is we're trying to block out the paper to protect it from the wash that we put on top. Usually it's done to preserve your whites, but sometimes you might want to use it as a way to preserve whatever wash you've already put down that's dry. It does need to be dry in order for you to put the masking material on top, whatever it might be. But let's first try, this is a little PBO pen. It's called High Precision Masking Fluid Marker. And we're gonna give this a try. There's also masking fluids that you can get of different brands that you brush on with a brush. I tend not to like those because you kind of have to sacrifice a brush in order to do that. But we're gonna give this one a try first, and you do need to kind of shake it up like so. And then we're gonna angle down here so you can see. We're gonna do this one first because we are gonna have to wait for it to dry. Now, one thing I figured out with this pen is that you have to kind of pump it as you go. So it's kind of tedious probably to watch me do this, but you have to pump it enough to where it comes out. And it can make a pretty nice fine line. But you want to make sure you're actually getting enough on there. I'm going to come back with a little more. And then we'll need to let that dry. I'm just doing a little spiral here. It's a little bit tedious. Okay, so there's my little spiral. We're gonna let that dry. You can also use, even if you're on a budget, you can even just use masking tape. So what we're gonna do is just lay this down. Now you do have to burnish it a little bit. The thing is, this wasn't exactly made for this, just the regular masking tape from the hardware store. So you could end up kind of damaging your paper depending on how much you burnish it down. But if you don't burnish it down, it could leak, which you may or may not want to happen. Okay, so I'm gonna burnish it down a little bit and hopefully I'll be able to lift that up without damaging the paper. They also make some special masking films that are made especially for this. If you have that in your budget, you can go ahead and use that, and it's a little bit safer, especially if you're using a higher quality paper and you don't want to take any risks damaging it. What you can do with a wider roll of tape, for example, is you can actually cut it into shapes. Okay, so if I wanted to make a special shape, I could cut it out. For example, if I wanted to make like a sun, and it's a little bit tricky cutting the tape. Another thing you could do is you can stick it on something non-porous, like if you could put a layer of saran wrap down, and you can cut it with lay the tape on top and cut it with an X-Acto knife. Okay, so there's my circle, and I'm just gonna put it down there. Okay, so let's see what happens if we give that a try. Okay, so if you take your brush and just swirl it around, we're just going to work with the Prussian blue again since I have it out on my palette. And I'm just going to lay it on top. Okay, and let's go ahead and just, I'm going to switch colors here. I'm going to go back to the Payne's Gray. And let's just, and I don't know if that's dry already. It actually feels dry, so let's try. Okay, so these really need to dry before, I know the temptation is going to be to want to go ahead and lift up your masking and see what it looks like, but try to be patient, let it dry. Why don't you take a little break and go grab a cup of coffee, and we'll see what this looks like when after it dries a bit. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, hi everybody, we're back. I hope this is dry. I'm getting a little impatient myself, so hopefully I'm not jumping the gun, but let's go ahead and see here. Let's first try our little cross here, and I have just an X-Acto knife to help pry the tape up at the corner. And I'm going to grab that and see, it's actually sticking to the paper a little bit. It's kind of damaging the surface of the paper. So if you have a special tape for this that you get at the hardware store, see, it stuck too much and it's kind of pulling up the fibers where the wash was. But see, if I angle the tape kind of like so, okay, that's going to work a little bit better. And see, kind of angle the tape like so. And just be gentle when you're doing this. It's sticking a little bit to the paper fibers there. As I come this way, I'm going to kind of pull it the other direction here. And there we go. Still a little bit damp, so be careful. If you jump the gun a little bit, you might want to blot it so that you don't drag that into, oops, see, like what I just did, into the white area. Okay, I'm going to kind of pull that up from the other corner with my knife. And be careful. Again, see, it's still wet, so that's the danger. I kind of ruined that clean edge there because I smeared some of the wet wash. Okay. And this is sticking a little bit too. I'm going to pull this. And again, angling a little bit here helps a lot. Yeah, that kind of stuck to the paper fibers. Oh, see, it's stuck there too. So if I hold that down, there we go. It kind of tore into the wash area a little bit. So there you go. That's the danger of using just the regular masking tape. So you might try the blue tape or the less tacky masking tape, or you can get a special tape from the art store that's made for this. Okay, let's try our little circle shape and see what that looks like. Okay, see, we have a donut. That worked. And so for this masking pen in the little spiral here, what you do is you actually rub that with your finger. See, in the old days, rubber cement was used, and it has kind of that same sort of effect. But see, you just rub that with your finger, and hopefully it should come off. There's a little area where it seems to be sticking. Let's see if we can hold that with our finger. I don't know if I should have let that dry a little more. But just rub that off. Oops. Try not to tear the paper again. This is not a super high quality paper, so the quality of your paper also affects what happens here, okay? I think it wanted to adhere a little too much to this paper. So different papers, you'll get different results, especially if it has more of a sizing on it. It might not tear the paper as much because it won't stick. The sizing should give a little bit of resistance there. But anyway, it kind of has that effect of a resist here, actually, which it sort of is in a sense. Okay, so there you go. That's our masking technique. You can see there's a lot of possibilities with that technique as well. So give it a try, practice with some different effects, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.